Justin, thanks for joining me today. Let's start with the obvious question. Who are you and what do you do?
Sure. My name is Justin Moore. I am the founder of Creator Wizard, and I am a sponsorship coach. So I help folks learn how to find and negotiate their dream brand partnerships.
Awesome. So I'm assuming that means you create a lot of content yourself. You're probably a busy guy. What was it like before we connected? Like, where were you at with managing your email and any other tasks that you felt that maybe you shouldn't be doing, but you were doing? What was life like before?
Dumpster fire is maybe the best word to describe it. One thing I did not. Okay, so first of all, I've always had a really complex relationship with email because I am a task-oriented person. So I have strove, is that the word? Strived for inbox zero for years. That has been like, okay, I want to have my inbox at zero by the end of the day. That's always been my thing. And so over the years, I've had to kind of declare email bankruptcy in that regard because just started getting more and more email. But it actually ratcheted it up to 11 in terms of my pain more recently because I started an email newsletter now at around 33,000 subscribers. And surprise, surprise, Yara, when you ask people to, hey, hit reply on this email and let me know what you think, people actually hit reply. And so that it just I became overwhelmed with the volume of email, and me being the person I am, like, I want to get back to these people. I want to like them to know that I hear them. And even if it's not like a super in-depth response, that was really one of my major challenges. And yeah, there were some other kind of administrative challenges that I was having, but it was really just the volume. It was just so much. And I would empty the inbox and then it would like fill right back up. And that was very demoralizing, I would say.
So tell me then, when you went looking to solve this problem, it sounds like those emails would have been reasonably personal in the sense that these people were replying to your newsletter. They want to possibly get some feedback directly from Justin. I'm sure there were other emails in your inbox too. Did you think this was something you could even delegate to someone else? And how did you go about solving, that problem?
I would say this was a limiting belief of mine for a while, actually. And that's why I didn't do it for a long time, was because I felt as though like they want me, they want Justin to reply. And these could be, course enrollment, potential course enrollments, or these could be coaching clients, or like I felt as though like I needed the personal touch. It needed to be me with my smiling photo responding to people. So that they, felt like the personal touch that, because my newsletter was coming out from my personal email address. Right. And so I resisted for a really long time. I did candidly, experiment with hiring some VAs. And I think what I ultimately discovered was that you can't just initially it was just like, let me throw a body on this, like someone to just triage and reply and all that stuff too. And I quickly realized that's not a great solution because, there's this kind of emotional intelligence required, I think, sometimes with, especially if you're running a business, or maybe you're a content creator, or you have a lot of, you're a coach or something, you have kind of customers or clients. There's a little bit of emotional intelligence. It's not just like a, put this mail in this slot type job. And so this is what really held me back for a long time, was this belief that it couldn't be delegated.
So when did we come into the picture with Inbox Done? How did you find us, and why did you think that we might be a solution? And let's just talk about too how it worked when you started to work with us.
Yeah. So I believe I first heard you on Jenny Blake's podcast is where I heard you, and every objection that Jenny was being like, yeah, but you would have a great answer for it on that podcast. And I was like, I just felt like this is the solution to all my needs, to all my problems. And so, right after listening to that episode, I quickly booked a discovery call. And it felt like therapy, honestly, I think, in that some of those initial calls, because it felt really cool to feel like there was a solution designed specifically for someone like me, who is still very much intimately involved and not wanting to this is what I appreciated initially, was that you weren't saying we're going to handle everything. You basically said we could probably handle 80 to 90% of it. But there's always going to be those kind of like 10 to 15% of stuff where it's like your friend and you had coffee and there's some context that we don't know about. And like that felt really good to me because I was like, yeah, that feels right. Because there's like always going to be stuff that people are just not, you know, whoever I hire is not going to have the context. And so I just liked that there was this kind of bespoke nature to the solution.
And did it follow through with everything you expected? Obviously, now you've been working with us for a while. How was the experience of going through that handover and actually seeing someone else reply to all those emails for you?
You know, I would say that perhaps the most helpful part of it was the initial transition period, because there was this like period where I was kind of doing some teaching, you know, whether it was like recording a quick Loom video and being like, here's how I would respond to this type of thing. And to the point where we kind of built up this SOP library of like, here's all the different scenarios of all the different types of emails I get, and here's what to do for each of those things. And so I'll be honest, like there is a little bit of front loaded effort that's going to be required. And like, if you think it's going to be this magic pill, like that's not the right way to look at it. You do have to like put some effort in to like get good output, you know? And so I think that was a big takeaway for me is like, there was an adjustment period to like ensure that they, you know, my inbox assistants were, you know, feeling confident and capable to handle all the different things that are going to come in. The other really useful thing I would say, at least I'll kind of get in a little bit in the weeds of our business, is that I have a director of operations. And so one of my goals was like, okay, I'm going to try to remove myself as much as possible from my inbox, and anything that the inbox assistants have questions with, I'm just going to have them go to my director of ops instead of coming to me. And so for people who may be considering this, thinking like, okay, well, it's not just me. I have maybe a few team members. Maybe you do have someone like a chief of staff or a director of ops or something. That this was how we set it up, was like, don't come to Justin. Like if Dee can handle anything, send it to her. Don't send it to Justin. Right. And so I really appreciated and loved this idea of like kind of designing a structure for this setup such that I got back space and time on my calendar, which was really the ultimate goal.
So how is life now? Do you not do anything at all? Like, or just create content and sit back and let the team run things? Like, what's it look like?
I mean, if like, I'd be lying if I said I'm still not a little bit in the weeds, because that's just my personality type. But yeah, I mean, it's been, I would say like another really like big, you know, thing that's happened on the other end of this is I just feel so much more organized. That was a big thing that they came in and did, is like, you know, previously I had attempted to implement a folder hierarchy, like action and like read later and like, you know, some of these kind of basic triage, you know, kind of thing folders, but it never really felt super ideal. And so one thing, at least for the way it worked out in our business, was that our Inbox Done assistants like completely overhauled our folder hierarchy in terms of how we're organizing things. And so previously it was just like I would use the search bar, you know, in Google to like find, or Gmail to find stuff. But now it's so much easier to like, you know where things are and like check them. And like when I look at my Justin folder, I know truly that those are the things that like I really need to look at. Those are like kind of the urgent or like the my eyes only type thing. And then everything else, I'm just not even going to worry about it. And so I think that was a big unlock, was like I previously felt like, oh, all these newsletters I'm like missing out on, I'm not able to read them and all this stuff. And now it's like really giving me permission to be like, you know, it's okay if you don't read the like 50 newsletters that are like in your inbox. Like that's actually okay. And in fact, it's actually preventing you from doing your zone of genius type work, you know?
Yeah, such a good point. Last question. For those listening in who maybe were like you, not feeling they can let go of email for whatever reason, maybe they felt it's too personal or they have to be the one to write the reply. What do you say to them if they're also thinking, I have to break free from this? How do you advise them on letting go?
I would say that there's 8 billion people in the world, and there exists another human out there, probably employed at Inbox Done, that can have the level of emotional intelligence and savviness and great grammar and great spelling, because that's what I'm, you know, crazy about. Like that person exists in the universe. And so it's not a reasonable belief that like I'm the only person who can do it. And in fact, you're probably preventing your business from growing or you having more sanity if you continue to hold on to this stuff. And this is speaking for someone who's like had a really complex relationship with email for 20, 25 years. Like there exists a future state for you that is quite harmonious and allows you to have a much more peaceful existence.
I love the thought you put into that answer. Just that I could see you thinking about that. So that's great. Thank you for taking the time to do this. Obviously, we love working with you, and just keep up the good work.
Sure. Thanks again, Jarl.